What's up, Night Nation? My name is AC Flo, and this is part 2 of the 12 games that got UCF into the Big 12. With the 2023 football season starting in less than a week, I'll be uploading content as the season progresses, so be sure to subscribe for football updates.
Touchdown, Isaiah Bowser! Oh, what a great catch by Justin Hodges. Jumps up and launches it. He gets decked at the 30-yard line. To the 5, the 50.
Not many teams can claim they have a winning record over Georgia. Given the example of the current two-time defending national championship team, Georgia is not an easy team to defeat. Despite that, UCF is one of the few teams in the nation to have beaten the Bulldogs the last time they met. In 2010, UCF enjoyed a successful 10-3 regular season, capped by a win over SMU to become conference champions. Because of this success, UCF earned their 4th bowl appearance against the Georgia Bulldogs. A very defensive-heavy game, the Knights held the Bulldogs, winning a low-scoring game of 10-6. This was a huge success for the Knights, since this was their first bowl victory ever, their best season to date, and the first time they had ever entered the BCS rankings. Following the war on I-4, the Knights were going to the AAC Conference Championship with a rematch against Memphis. The Tigers were hungry for revenge after the Knights dominated Memphis in their first game, and they played to win. This high-scoring game went in waves, with each team dominating in their own respective quarters. In the first quarter, it was all UCF, with the Knights up 17-7. Next, in the second quarter, we saw the Tigers take the wheel, scoring 3 touchdowns and a field goal to end the half with 31-24 over the Knights. With the same trend happening in the second half of the game, the teams were sent into overtime, tied 48-48. To show no disappointment and give every fan watching a heart attack, the two teams tied it up again and forced the game into double overtime. It was then, in this exciting double overtime, that UCF went on to score a touchdown, followed by the UCF defense finally shutting down the Tigers with an interception to win the game 62-55. This victory added another number into their win streak, and gave them an automatic bid in a New Year's Six game to face off against Auburn. Before UCF had the bounce house, the then Golden Knights would play their games at nearby Florida Citrus Bowl in downtown Orlando. Due to the distance between the stadium and the school, fans were sparse in attendance, and there was no game day atmosphere that college football is known for. So, after 28 years of playing at the FCB, the Knights would play their first game ever on their own campus, in a stadium now known as the Bounce House. Their opponent? Number 6 Texas, who came off a fresh win against number 19 TCU. Despite the clear dominance Texas had over the very young UCF team, the Knights played a very close game against the Longhorns. Unfortunately, the Knights didn't have what it took to overcome the Longhorn team, and would end the game 32-35. Even though they would lose, this was one of the first signs of the threat UCF and the Bounce House atmosphere had against teams nationally. It is believed that one of the largest reasons why UCF got into the Big 12, unlike a team like USF, is because we had our own on-campus football team. Following a very successful 12-1 season, including a win over number 8 Louisville, UCF went to its first New Year's Six game against number 6 Baylor. At this time, UCF was pretty unknown in the college football world, so the Baylor Bears shrugged this game off as an easy win. They would soon be disappointed. UCF shocked the Bears with an explosive start, making 14 points in their first 2 possessions of the game. The Knights would actually never let go of the lead, staying ahead of the Bears the whole game until they eventually won with a 52-42 victory. This was UCF's most important victory to date, defeating their highest rated opponent while also getting their highest rank ever. This game is particularly important this year, as the Knights will reunite with the Bears once again at the Knights' first ever home game in the Big 12. Arguably one of the best games of college football in recent years, this game definitely lived up to the hype surrounding it. Entering this game with a perfect 10 win streak, the stakes were high for the Knights. If they were to beat their next opponent, they would go to the AAC Championship with a rematch against Memphis. Would be their very own rival, the South Florida Bulls, who were enjoying their own 9-1 season. With only a 4-point loss to Houston, the Bulls, led by Quentin Flowers, were posing to be the Knights' toughest opponents yet. On this fateful Black Friday, the war on I-4 would not disappoint. Right off the bat, USF enjoyed an exploding opener, scoring a touchdown just a minute and 8 seconds into the game. The Knights would respond with 3 touchdowns of their own in the first quarter alone. Following this first quarter, however, the Knights would feel the effect of the South Florida defense, and the Bulls would pull away 34-28 by the end of the third quarter. As the fourth quarter continued, the two teams were neck and neck, and would tie following an 83 touchdown play by the Bulls. With just a minute 41 on the clock, many fans were sure the game would go into overtime. That was until this.
41 to go. Mike Hughes with a head of steam, and Mike Hughes, the kicker to beat. Do you believe it? Knights take the lead on a Hughes touchdown.
After this legendary play, a fumble was forced against the USF to end the game, and the Knights moved on to the AAC Championship. While this is a fan favorite to be the best UCF game ever, it was only a stepping stone to what would eventually shake the core of college football, and wasn't the end of UCF's fortunes. The most important game in UCF history, this game would stun the college football world and call into question the legitimacy of Power 5 dominance and the rights for Group of 5 teams to be in the CFP. After a 12-0 season, the Knights were up to the New Year's 6 Peach Bowl game against Auburn, a team who had defeated both of the national championship contenders. Determined to go undefeated, the Knights were eager to sink their teeth into some SEC opponents. Performing in front of a nearly sold-out 75,000 stadium, the Knights' defense would hold their ground definitively against the Tigers, only allowing 2 field goals to be made in the first half. The offense would put up decent numbers, scoring 1 touchdown and 2 field goals of their own by halftime. After a rough third quarter, the Knights were tied with Auburn, 20-all, heading into the fourth quarter. Pulling ahead of the Tigers, the score was for 34-27 after the Tigers scored once more with 4 minutes left in the game. After a missed field goal attempt by UCF, the Tigers were getting dangerously close to tying or possibly beating the Knights. That was until...
Hastings in motion now, the clock winds. Good rush, Stidham under pressure, throws it, intercepted! I don't know if he was trying to throw it away or what.
With this forced interception, the Knights would finish their season as the only undefeated team in 2017. Debate would arise following this victory, with the background knowledge that Auburn had defeated the 2 championship finalists, only to be beaten by UCF. There is a technicality declaring that UCF was a national championship in 2017. While this stance is argued throughout Twitter and other social media platforms, it also has UCF's name in people's mouth. No matter what your opinion is about the Natty claim, you cannot deny that the 2017 season was a special one for this UCF team. See you in the Big 12.